Frank DeLappa, Boston Globe. Hey, Caleb. Want to get right into preseason results. They didn't look great from afar, but the question is, what's your take on the preseason? Positive, negatives? What did you see as strengths and weaknesses of the team? And also, were you tempted to schedule in a couple of preseason automatic W's?
Hey, Frank, how are you? Obviously, this is my 10th year going through preseason, so I learned early on that really results in preseason mean nothing. I've had years where we've won every preseason game and we've started the season poor. And then I've had many years the opposite. It's impossible to really put much value in any results in preseason, especially in the early stages, because you're playing essentially 22 guys. So what's the result? There's no subs, so you could win a half, you could lose a half. In the end, the bottom line result doesn't matter. And ultimately, too, it's about what you're working on in training. So really the only result that I really cared a lot about was the Philadelphia one. Going into that game, that was the first game that we played a top group, 90 minutes against a very good team. None of the other games actually do I care at all about the result.
We're going to take our next question from Richard Thompson. Richard, please proceed.
Hi, Caleb. Rich Thompson, Boston Herald. Were you able to scout this team? And if so, what did you see? And kind of give us a little bit of your game plan without state secrets, of course.
Yeah, you talking about the Champions Cup game Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we were able to scout them. We actually sent someone to look at them, and also we were able to get a couple games on them. So we have a good read on what their team's about in terms of, formation, the two formations they've utilized, primarily the, game model, style of play, key players. So yes, we have a good read on their team. Obviously we know it's a double leg, and I told the group today, in terms of priority this week, the priority is to win both games. So, I want to start the league really well, and I want to advance as far as we can in this cup competition. So we have a tentative plan for both games. There will be some rotation, but we're going to put out a strong group, hopefully to win both games. Get off to a good start in the first leg, and hopefully get our first 3 points in the league.
We're going to take our next question from Sam Minton. Sam, please proceed.
Hello, Caleb. Sam Minton, the Blazing Musket. Just want to ask you about Esmir Bajraktarevic. He had a solid start to the year with that U.S. men's national team call-up. So just overall, what have you noticed about him in preseason so far? And could he possibly be in line for a more involved role headed into 2024?
Yes, Sam, very good player. Esmir, talented, extremely creative. Obviously, you see the clips of the national team, but he's a very, very talented player with a ton of potential. He's not only a good attacking player, he also has a great work rate on both sides of the ball as well, and he's dynamic. He's got good athleticism. So for me, he's going to play a major role this year. Yes.
We'll take our next question from John Lupo. John, please proceed.
John Lupo with North American Soccer Reporters. Caleb, we know all of the signings offensively, how much firepower this team has, and with Carlos, of course, being one of the best players in the league. But I wanted to focus on the trade for Nick Lima, filling in for Brandon while Brandon recovers. Just talk about how happy you are to have a player at such a critical position like that, with his talent and with his experience, and how he's looked so far in the preseason.
Yeah, very solid piece for us. Obviously, with Brandon being out, we know Andrew Farrell can slide out there, but he's primarily a center back the way I view him, and so Nick has been getting a good amount of the reps with the top group I think he's a very well-rounded player. He can get forward. He has the ability in the final phase, final third to provide width and get crosses into the box. He's also a good defender, and he's a smart player tactically. Being with Austin, he understands positional play. So he understands, obviously with the preseason as well, how we want to play. But it's been a good transition. He's also a great guy and has a good mentality.
Coach, we're going to take our next question from Sean McCaffrey. Sean, please proceed.
I just got it on mute, but I'm not Sean. Can I ask a question anyway?
We'll move on, Rich. It looks like Sean dropped off, so we'll follow up with Rich. Go ahead, please proceed.
Coach, just talk about the move. We just got the move. It was on Damian Rivera. Excuse me. What are you hoping to get him in Tampa?
Yeah. Hey, Rich.
Something like that.
Yeah, when you have a player like Damian, we call Tico, he's been in the system now a couple years, and so you got to start to think about how can he continue to grow if he's not going to get major minutes with the first team. When we have young players initially coming up through, they get games with Revs too, which is great. But when you start to play a couple years there, it's important for them to maybe have a change of scenery and to go out and play in possibly USL Championship Club where they're playing, away from our environment. And we felt it was a good fit for him to go there to Tampa. He has talent. He still has potential to play for us. But he's now entering his third year. And so we felt like a different environment for him was the best thing.
Coach, looks like we were able to get Sean back on. We'll proceed with Sean.
Coach, thanks for your time. Soccer Island Magazine here. You came in, of course, not under the best of circumstances. Your coaching staff is a mix of people that you've dealt with before, that have been with the team before. Is that to have a little consistency with everyone, and of course, bring in some that are more acquainted with how you want to approach things?
Yeah. I believe in a blend always. I've done that in every club, 3 clubs I've been in. I've kind of adopted new coaches, which helps, in terms of intel, hit the ground running, transition a little quicker. I think about putting my staffs together very carefully. I know what I need. I know what, strengths and weaknesses that we need to complement each other. So, I brought two guys I'm very familiar with who will help, obviously, with prep and the way that we work, which is very clear. And then, Hitchy, Kevin Hitchcock, obviously his reputation speaks for itself in terms of what he's done with the goalkeepers in New England, in developing 2 very good goalkeepers. So, it made sense to keep him, and I really got great recommendations on him. He's been outstanding already in 4 weeks that I've worked with him. And then Clint P.A. I thought it was important to have a guy on the ground here that knew the team, knew the players, knew the young guys as well, knew the pathway. And also in just looking at how I was going to put the staff together, he brings a little bit of an eye for the back 4 as well.
We're going to go back to Frank for our follow-up question. Frank, please proceed.
Great. Caleb, you've talked about varying tactics a little bit. So will this team look a little bit different than in recent seasons tactically? And, what do you see Carlos Gil's role being? Obviously, he's your playmaker, but will some of the emphasis be taken off of Carlos and shared maybe?
Yeah, I think the tactics will look different. The way that we train is different than the way they've trained in the past. The way that we put a team out on the field in terms of formation is different. The way that we approach our defending philosophy and attacking philosophies is different. So, there will be a transition, but the group is extremely bought in. I actually thought, in what I was looking for in the preseason, it was one of the better preseasons I've had. You know, it just depends on what we're working on. So you might think, oh, the result, but if you know what we're working on, and you have an eye for that, then you would understand what I mean by that. But you know, we worked on different things every game as we built it up, and you know, like I said, we put everything into that 90 minutes Philly, and I thought they're a very good team. Obviously, the team that knocked us out last year, and I thought we did extremely well in that game, without finding the goal. You know, for me, that's the final piece. But defended really well. I thought our control and our build-up was really good, and we got in good spots. And I'm not worried about the goals. This is a very good group. We've got talent in the attack, and you'll see the goals will come. That won't be a problem. Carlos Hill, obviously he'll be a key player. You know, everything will go through him in the attack. You know, he's a true number 10, one of the best players I've ever worked with, one of the best players in the league. And I can tell you he's one of the most professional players I've ever had. I've never seen a guy so good that has such a good attitude and such a good leadership and professionalism day to day. It's been an absolute joy to work with. And the entire group, I would say the entire group is one of the funnest groups I've ever worked with. Really good guys. They all want to work hard. They're extremely hungry. And, you know, we're getting better every single day. So from the standpoint of growth and learning and growing, it's been really fun to watch this group every single day get better and improve.